Hi, Dr. Bo here. Today's story time day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to give you a little story of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve probably had a spine, except it was not wired like this, like our spines are. I picture them being in the Garden of Eden. The back of their spine was non-sensitive and the front of the spine was sensitive, which means if we were wired that way, if the back of the spine was not so sensitive and the front of the spine, which is as we live, is non-sensitive. These discs don't have a lot of nerve endings. These bones don't have nerve endings, which means if you get into a whiplash, I think we've said before, you'll end up avoiding the injury to these joints in the back, and you'll heal with your head forward, which causes disc compression, and you can start losing and dehydrating those discs, and then it ruptures to the back, into the spinal cord, into the nerves. So that's the way we're made. We're made with sensitive knuckles on the back here. These facets are sensitive and the discs are pretty non-sensitive. So when we receive an injury, falling off the swing when we're kids or whatever, we tend to heal bent forward. So you do that your whole life and you'll end up with compressed discs, dehydrated discs, and bad posture, which leads to stretching of the spinal cord. I don't know that I've taught you that. That the spinal cord is tied to your brain, of course, and it's tied to the ganglion impar is down here at the tailbone. So it's tied or tethered. The spinal cord is actually tethered to the brain, of course, and tethered to the ganglion impar at the bottom of the sacral vertebrae here. So can you picture that if you bend forward and heal that way, am I stretching the spinal cord or am I shortening it? You can see that I'm stretching the spinal cord. Look at my shirt. If I have the shirt tied to my tailbone down here, and I grab the top like this, and you see how this is my spinal cord, and then if I lean forward, can you see how the spinal cord is pulled tight? Now when you pull a hose tight, if you have a hose and you pull it tight, what happens to its lumen? Its lumen closes down and it narrows down. So the spinal cord, if you look at a spinal cord of somebody with posture forward like this, and you do an MRI, you'll see the spinal cord is shaped like a teardrop like that. And as you bring the head back, it rounds out to a round structure. And that can flow cerebral spinal fluid better and absorb nutrients better. But when you have a tethered cord, and everybody has a tethered cord. All of our spinal cords are tied to the tailbone. And then you have an injury in your neck and your head goes forward. What does that do to the entire spinal cord? Can you see how it pulls the entire spinal cord apart? I mean, if we did that to this paper towel, right, you could see that. It would actually probably tear the towel. So you have this like this, and then you pull your head forward, it would tear the towel apart. You see that? So that's why we don't like forward posture. It's not just because it weights the discs. It's because the spinal cord is being pulled longitudinally, which squeezes the entire diameter of the spinal cord and suffocates the cord. And it actually the nerves can tear sometimes in the spinal cord. So the idea of why we want the head back, we want the ear over top of the C7, over top of the greater trochanter, over top of the lateral malleolus down in the ankle. And that posture leaves the spinal cord able to float in the cerebral spinal fluid. And that cerebral spinal fluid is what nutrifies the nerves, the entire spinal cord. Eve were walking out of the Garden of Eden, the angel or somebody zapped them and switched the nerves, because now the spinal cord is loaded with neurons in the back that can feel pain and not many back here. And Adam and Eve were probably switched, because when they would heal, and I think if we had this rewiring done, we would heal like this. We would not heal with our heads forward, and that leads to all kind of illnesses and disease and so forth. We would heal back like this. If the front was more tender, we would go, ouch, and we would heal back here, which is shortening the spinal cord and saving the structure of the spine so it lasts 150 years instead of 90 or so. Those are my ideas. Like and subscribe.